who is your biggest surprise and on the good spectrum of the Eastern Conference? Who's really surprised you in a good way?
It's the 76ers. By far. The 76ers have absolutely played outstanding basketball this year. And you can make a legitimate argument that Joel Embiid is an MVP caliber player right now. He's playing at an MVP level right now. And really, I think the addition of Doc Rivers this offseason has paid huge dividends for this team because going into this season and even looking kind of like where they were last season, it seemed like this team had a decent amount of firepower with Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, and Tobias Harris. However, it just seemed to me, and it seemed like everybody else that was watching them, they were underperforming. You could look towards Ben Simmons' shooting issues, the fact that he can't shoot a perimeter shot to save his life, Joel Embiid being out of shape, and just the inconsistencies there with it, the conditioning, and then Tobias Harris, he had his struggles last year, but the addition of Doc Rivers has been huge because Tobias Harris is playing like he was when he was playing with the Clippers a few years back when Doc Rivers was leading the team. Like I said, Joel Embiid is playing at an MVP level right now, and Ben Simmons is being a great facilitator for the team and getting some easy buckets. So this team is right now at 15-6. They had a big win against the Lakers a few days ago. Honestly, they were kind of lucky to win that game because they gave up a 10 to 15 point lead with only about 3 to 4 minutes left in the game. Even so, they were still able to get the win. And right now, they do look like the cream of the crop in the Eastern Conference right now. And just kind of looking at their schedule right now, I mean, they play the Hornets next. They got the Blazers, the Nets, and the Kings, and then the Blazers again. So really outside of maybe the Nets game, they've got some really winnable games here, and they could really extend their lead in the Eastern Conference if they played their cards right and just play good complementary basketball.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. Philly's a big surprise. I mean, we did kind of shit on them at the beginning of the year, for the preseason saying that they were going to be a big letdown. They didn't really make a lot of moves this offseason other than letting Josh Richardson go and coming to Dallas, but them getting Seth Curry. We didn't really expect much from them, honestly. I know I didn't. They've been a big surprise, but I'm going to kind of turn the tables and go to a different team. Kyle, can you give me the record of the Cleveland Cavaliers, please?
Yes, I can. They're currently 10-11, and they're sitting at the seventh seed in the Eastern Conference right now.
Now, I know the record doesn't reflect it. However, the fact that the Cleveland Cavaliers are trending in the right direction is a surprise. I think that a lot of people are seeing. The play of Colin Sexton has been stellar. There isn't really much of another word for it because Colin Sexton has been hooping, for lack of a better words. The man dropped 43 on the Nets, single-handedly scored 20 straight points in the fourth quarter and overtime to carry them to a win. The acquisition of multiple bigs and them playing up to par. I always thought that Cleveland recently has been the house of just running a full forward and center squad because they just have that many on their team. Speaking of which,
Yeah.
Andre Drummond reportedly as of today is not expected to be on the team longer or past the trade deadline this year. So I wouldn't be surprised he gets moved, which is the name we both said would not move. JaVale McGee is also in some rumors as well, him looking to be traded over to Brooklyn to give them some depth. But nevertheless, they're making it work with not a lot of talent. And no disrespect to anybody on that team, but I mean, when you think of the Cleveland Cavaliers, the first thing that comes to your mind is LeBron James coming and going and then coming back. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, you don't expect much from it because typically teams dissipate when LeBron leaves just because of the amount that he brings with him and then he takes also away. So the fact that Cleveland is even in the top 8 seeds, again, I know that the record doesn't really mean much, and I know that it is the beginning quarter of the season, but to see them trending in this form of a direction is just absolutely impressive. And I mean, like, I don't even know who their head coach is, to be honest with you. And I couldn't tell you anybody outside of the players that I just named that is consistently in a rotation other than Kevin Love on this team and Larry Nance Jr. But I, they even just cut this kid Kevin Porter Jr. for getting into a skirmish in the locker room because someone threw food at some petty childish crap, right? And he signed with Houston.
Yeah, I mean, this is like elementary school type pettiness here.
I mean, they're overcoming the odds. They're playing great basketball. Their number one choice or their first round draft choice a few years ago to try to incentivize LeBron James to stay and Colin Sexton who has played average basketball as of up to now. And this season, I mean, I don't know what it is. Colin Sexton is absolutely balling out. I know I sent you something on Twitter. His last 8 games, he's averaging like, I don't know, 20, 26 or 27 points per game in this last couple of weeks. So, I mean, like, it is absolutely insane. And it's good to see, the Eastern Conference is changing it up. And it's nice to see another team kind of come out of the woodworks and show, like, hey, we're still relevant. So I would say my biggest surprise is for sure the Cavs.